A chipped teacup etched with roses sits abandoned on a Santa Monica bungalow's kitchen counter, its saucer cracked as if mourning the hands that once held it. This isn't just any house. It's the final refuge of Irene Ryan, the spirited granny from the Beverly Hillbillies, a place where she traded Hollywood's clamor for the whisper of ocean waves. Beyond the laughter of her iconic role, Irene crafted homes that shielded her elegance and guarded her solitude. What do these forgotten walls, the grand Beverly Hills estate and the humble Santa Monica retreat, reveal about the woman who lived within them? Step through the doorway and let's explore the spaces that held her heart. Irene Ryan, born in 1902, was a performer whose life was a tapestry of vaudeville stages and Broadway lights before the Beverly Hillbillies defined her legacy. Beneath Granny's gingham, she was a refined woman who loved music, literature, and quiet evenings. Her real estate choices, a 1920s Spanish Revival mansion in Beverly Hills and a 1915 Craftsman bungalow in Santa Monica, were deliberate, reflecting her need for spaces that balanced grandeur with intimacy. These homes weren't trophies, but sanctuaries, where she could escape the caricature of Granny and nurture her sophisticated soul, crafting environments that whispered of her past and her passions. First, let's wander through the Beverly Hills estate, purchased in 1962 as the Beverly Hillbillies soared. Tucked on a shaded lane off Rodeo Drive, this 4,500 square foot Spanish Revival was a 1925 masterpiece of stucco and red tile. Its half-acre lot, a fortress of privacy behind iron gates. Built for a silent film director, its arched loggias and tiled courtyards evoked a Mediterranean dream. Irene, then 60, saw it as a canvas for her elegance, pouring her earnings into a home that could host her ambitions while shielding her from fame's glare. The foyer welcomes you with saltillo tiles, cool underfoot, and a wrought iron chandelier casting filigree shadows. To the right, the living room stretches wide, its 12-foot ceilings crowned by exposed beams. A fireplace clad in hand-painted tiles glows with embers on cool nights. Irene furnished it with care, a peacock blue settee, a baby grand piano where her fingers danced over Chopin, and shelves brimming with leather-bound books. Shaw, Dickens, poetry. The ivory walls held framed vaudeville posters, their faded ink a nod to her youth. This wasn't a room for raucous parties, but for intimate evenings. Irene sipping sherry by candlelight, her laughter soft as she shared stories of her stage days. The space mirrored her prime, a woman asserting her artistry against Hollywood stereotypes. Through an arched doorway, the dining room gleams with polish. A mahogany table long enough for 12 sits beneath a crystal chandelier that scatters light like stars. Irene chose silk curtains in pale gold, their folds catching the sunset. The walls, papered in muted damask, frame a single painting of a foggy bay, a whisper of her San Francisco roots. Here, she serves scallops and roasted lamb on fine china, the table set with military precision. The room was her stage, a place to prove her sophistication, its elegance a quiet rebellion against Granny's homespun image. Late at night, she'd linger here alone, sketching ideas for a theater scholarship, her pen scratching in the silence. The kitchen, though smaller, was her heart. Mint green cabinets line a checkerboard floor, a vintage stove humming with the scent of baking biscuits. A butcher block counter, scarred from years of chopping, held jars of homegrown herbs, basil, rosemary, thyme. Irene, in a silk scarf, would knead dough, her hands dusted with flour as she hummed old Irish tunes. A window nook cradled a vase of fresh roses, their petals falling onto scripts she'd annotate. This space, with its cluttered warmth and simmering pots, was where she shed her role, becoming Irene again, a woman in control, crafting meals and memories with equal care. Beyond French doors, the garden unfolds like a secret. Terracotta paths wind through rose beds and citrus trees, a stone fountain gurgling at the center. A bougainvillea-draped pergola shades a bench where Irene would sit. A book in hand, her straw hat tilted against the sun. The half-acre lot, walled in stucco, felt like a world apart, where she'd prune shrubs or plant lavender, her knees dusted with earth. This was her sanctuary, a place to escape the scripts and spotlights, the roses a mirror of her resilience, beautiful yet thorny. On summer evenings, she'd host quiet gatherings here, the fountain's murmur blending with her soft laughter. Now let's step into the Santa Monica bungalow, purchased in 1970 as the Beverly Hillbillies faded. A 1,900-square-foot craftsman built in 1915, it sits 3 blocks from the Pacific, its cedar shingles silvered by salt air. Irene, nearing 70, craved simplicity, choosing a home that felt like her vaudeville days, unpretentious, soulful. Its leaded glass windows and wraparound porch caught the sea breeze, and she filled it with thrift store finds, creating a space that sang of her beginnings. The living room is a cozy embrace, its oak floors worn to a soft sheen. A brick fireplace, blackened by years of use, warms the space, its mantel cluttered with seashells and a tarnished metronome. Irene furnished it with eclectic charm. A sagging armchair in faded chintz, a scuffed table piled with theater journals, and a gramophone that crackled with jazz. The sage-green walls held photos of young actors she mentored, their smiles a testament to her generosity. This was where she'd pace, rehearsing Broadway lines, or sip tea with aspiring performers, her voice sharp with advice. The room, with its lived-in glow, reflected her twilight, a woman looking back yet still giving forward. The kitchen, barely big enough for 2, is a study in thrift. White cabinets, chipped at the edges, frame a linoleum counter strewn with teacups and lemon rinds. A single-burner stove and a kettle, always steaming, sit beside a sink overlooking a lemon tree Irene planted. She'd bake lemon bars here, their tangy scent filling the air, and scribble recipes on note cards for neighbors. The space, with its cracked tiles and handwritten notes, was a humble counterpoint to Beverly Hills's polish, a place where Irene embraced her final years with quiet joy, her hands trembling, but her spirit steady. The backyard, a small square of green, is her haven. A wooden fence hides a patio with a wicker chair and a bistro table where Irene would read letters, her glasses slipping. A vegetable patch, tomatoes, zucchini, thrives in the sandy soil, tended with care. She'd hum show tunes here, her voice thin but warm. The ocean's roar, a distant chorus. This tiny garden, with its salt-kissed air and stubborn blooms, was her refuge, a place to dream of new roles, even as her health faltered. On still evenings, she'd sit here, a shawl around her shoulders, planning a Broadway comeback that never came. The master bedroom, nestled under the bungalow's eaves, is a cocoon of comfort. A brass bed draped in patchwork quilts faces a window framing a sliver of sea. A vanity, its mirror clouded, holds a silver brush and a diary, its pages filled with musings on time and art. The closet, spare and small, contains tailored dresses and a single gingham apron, a relic of Granny kept for sentiment. The room, with its slanted ceiling and sea salt breeze, was where Irene faced her final days, her thoughts turning inward as the world's applause faded. The Beverly Hills estate was Irene's grand stage, its chandelier-lit rooms a declaration of her artistry. The living room's piano and dining room's precision reflected a woman fighting to be seen beyond her role, its elegance a shield against typecasting. The Santa Monica bungalow, with its creaky floors and thrift store charm, was her quiet encore, a return to the girl who sang for pennies. The estate's garden hosted gatherings. The bungalow's patio cradled solitude. Beverly Hills was her public triumph, bold and curated. Santa Monica was her private peace, worn and true. These homes mirrored Irene's essence. The Beverly Hills kitchen, with its orderly herbs and fine stove, was her domain of control, a rebuke to Granny's chaos. The bungalow's living room, cluttered with memories and music, revealed her nostalgia and her drive to lift others, a mentor to the end. Her closets told her story. Beverly Hills held gowns for red carpets. Santa Monica favored wool skirts, proof of a woman who valued authenticity over glamour. The gardens, roses in one, tomatoes in the other, were her grounding, places to root herself in a world that saw only her character. In Beverly Hills, the fountain seemed to bubble on moonless nights, a quirk locals blamed on Irene's spirit. One evening she led an impromptu dance through the garden, her laughter echoing past midnight. In Santa Monica, a loose floorboard in the living room was said to hide old vaudeville scripts, though none were found. More curious was her habit of playing a ukulele in the bungalow's attic, its twang drifting through the house. She once hosted a game show taping in the Beverly Hills living room, her quick wit stealing the show, the crew marveling at her sharpness. Her homes were more than shelters. They were stages for her quiet passions. The Beverly Hills dining room became a war room for her acting scholarship, papers strewn across the table as she planned futures for young performers. In Santa Monica, she'd sit on the patio, penning donations to theater charities, her handwriting frail but resolute. These acts, far from the spotlight, showed a Conrad who found purpose in community, his homes as stages for giving back. What do these estates reveal? The Bear Valley kitchen, with its burnt chili and crowded table, was Conrad's heart, messy, generous, fiercely loyal. The Malibu deck, where he stretched at dawn, was his soul, a place to face his body's betrayal after the 2003 crash. His closets, boxing gloves in Malibu, a revolver in Bear Valley, spoke of a man who never stopped fighting, even against time. The hidden safe and flickering pool lights hinted at a playful mystery he cultivated, a final act of showmanship. Standing in the Malibu great room, now empty, the ocean roars beyond the glass. The Bear Valley Lodge, sold and repurposed, still echoes with his laughter. Robert Conrad didn't just live in these homes, he carved his contradictions into their walls. A brawler who sought peace, a star who craved anonymity. These estates, one rugged, one refined, show us fame's paradox. The louder the world cheers, the more you need a place to be still. As the surfboard gathers dust and the mountain winds howl, Conrad's homes stand as testaments to a life lived on his terms, their silence louder than any applause. That's a wrap for today's video. If you enjoyed it, smash that like button, drop us a comment below, and don't forget to subscribe so you'll never miss our new content. Thanks for watching.